morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
We got two great guests in studio here today. Mason County School Resource Deputies Matt Colbenson, Ruben Castillo. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff Salisbury sent me the note saying you guys were going to come in as we're taking the time now not only to update folks in the community on what's happening in the Sheriff's Department, but also get a chance to meet some of the other officers there behind the badge and the different positions that they hold. You guys are the school resource officers. So first let's start with the different schools that you guys work on and how you either trade off or how that works.
So I am at the North Mason School District. So I have essentially 5 schools that I'm up there taking care of. Ruben's down here at...
I get Pioneer and I get Hood Canal Schools.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a better deal for you then, right? Only 2 compared to the 5. When it comes to those types of things, especially the different schools, I know you're closer to Shelton in a sense. Do you have any interactions and work with them if there's ever any issues that you need to deal with, or is it strictly a county sheriff office thing?
Yeah, if I have any problems, I just go through our dispatch and have our guys respond.
You know, one of the things that we've talked about over the years about officers, and especially when it comes to with young children, some of the first interactions that young kids have with officers is in the back of the car as their parents get pulled over for doing whatever, and in the time either between when you first walk up to the car or as you leave, those parents may not necessarily put you guys in the best light. They may not be as appreciative of some of the efforts that you do outside as they're pulling you over, and that can leave a lasting impact on kids. And then when they see officers out and about in public life, they may flash back to that time when their parents thought they were, good for nothings or whatever. You pull me over for no reason, things like that. What are some of the ways that you either are trained upon or have learned over your time to start to break those barriers down and really get the kids to start trusting you and to start seeing you either as people behind the badge, but also with the important role you have?
You just got to be real with these kids. They'll see right through you. Just getting down to their level, talking with them. We do classes. We'll do preventive classes. Getting out there and playing some Foursquare with them. Yeah.
Foursquare.
Yeah, that's a good one. Just get out there with the elementary. It's just all about that relationship there with them. High school as well, junior high.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have high schools in my school. I have elementary to middle school. Middle school, they tend to have their preconceived notions about us already. Sure. But as far as the kids, I've had kids come up and tell me, hey, my dad was, arrested by you guys. But, I guess they realize that I'm still a cop and they still respect me. And we just educate them,
Yeah, one kind of things is, and that's super common, is those questions of, hey, do you know my dad, or do you know my uncle, or do you know my so and so, or maybe even like, hey, I remember when you came to my house, and a lot of times we'll be telling them that hey, good people make bad choices once in a while. It doesn't make you a bad person, and kind of reiterating that fact a lot there with them.
How has the school resource officer position changed over the years? I'm thinking about this in the sense of, like when I was in elementary school, and I know Sheriff Salisbury was a DARE officer. Now my kid is in kindergarten, and so now he's in school. How has that changed as you talk with the parents and they go, oh, I remember when the officers came in and we had DARE, and then it kind of evolved from there. Was that kind of the first inklings of a school resource officer?
To my knowledge, yeah. So I wasn't around when they had the DARE program.
Me neither.
But it was the staple in what started at the SRO community there, and a lot of those standardizations that they developed with the DARE officer program was kind of evolved into the SRO program that it is now. And so you have a lot of just classes that you teach, getting in the classrooms, and just getting a lot of that classroom time with the kids. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you teach? Is it the basics of, obviously, like not breaking the law or not drinking and not smoking, or what's the gambit there?
Well, basically, right now the biggest thing is like de-escalation or coping mechanisms. Giving kids the tools to help them cope with either changes or traumatic incidences. Right now, I'm doing internet safety. I'm going around K through 5 right now. I'm going out and teaching kids about internet safety.
So do you guys have to then be up on all the current lingo, all the new apps, and how you can then protect the parents? Do you send out notes to the parents on things that they should be looking out for?
Yeah, so I work a lot with the counselors as well, and so I have some resources that I get via email and some associates that I'm associated with of just trends what are coming up with like new social media, just from what different platforms are they using to communicate, what is some of the lingo that they use. I just actually went to a class beginning of last week that a retired officer, he goes around and basically delivers a message to school resource officers and the school community, like, hey, what are the new drug trends that are coming into schools? What are some of the clothing that are maybe drug related that to keep an eye out for? And then what are some social media, clicks and stuff like that they're using these days? And so. But yeah, it's one of our jobs is to stay up on this stuff and kind of know because they'll talk about something and you have no idea what they're talking about. So we gotta learn that lingo as well.
Yeah.
What's a typical day look like? Are you kind of wandering the halls, talking with kids? You have like an office set up where they can come to you and the school administrators come to you, or how does that look?
Well, for me, I do have my own office, but I usually just roam the campuses. Pioneer Middle School, I'm in the halls a lot with that.
Yeah.
But a lot of presence, just walking around.
I was interviewing some kids last week about the North Mason Prevention Summits, and they've been doing some pretty fascinating conversations. They had one on e-cigarettes 101s, and then the other one they're coming up is the lies of peer pressure. And one of the things that we were talking about is a way that somebody up there, and I thought it was fascinating, they set up a mock child's room with a whole bunch of things in it. They said there's like 74 things in there that a parent will walk in, and then you got to try to guess at like where things are hidden, and things like that. Talk to me a little bit about those types of, whether or not you're involved with that specifically, but just those kind of things.
Is that kind of what we were talking about earlier? What they're talking about is they set up a bedroom, and it'll just by looking to it, you think, oh, this is like a everyday teenager room, and you go in there and there'll be like something hidden in a Sharpie or something. They'll have a vape or something in there, or just signs or a note about something, and just stuff that's kind of hidden in plain sight. You'll see that stuff, and so you go through there and they'll show you, hey, here's some signs of this and all those kind of things. So it's really interesting to look at those things there and see. So I didn't really think of that as they could be used as this. So yeah, really opens your eyes.
Do you think it's been obviously it's been a benefit to have you guys on campus, and while you're not at every school all the time, you're able to get to the different schools pretty quickly. When you hear from not only the administrators but the parents and even the students, do they all come away with it? This is a positive thing for the community to have you guys in the schools.
Absolutely. At Pioneer School, after school, I'm usually outside in the parking lot, and parents just come up and just thank me for being there. So yeah, I think it's very positive.
Yeah.
Are you responding to a lot of incidents, or is it a lot of of the preemptive teaching? Before you hear stories of this school may have a lot of problems, or there's always a fight here or there. Is that really the case, or is some of that overblown through social media too?
I would say half and half. There is a lot of stuff that you hear on social media, and sometimes I'm part of a lot of the groups as well, and I'll be pretty shocked. I'm like, that never happened, or I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I wish I would have known about that or something. When I first started doing this, I think it was 3 years ago, I was the SRO for that. They just kind of said, hey, we're SRO, and I didn't have a specific school. There was 13 schools in the county that I would just kind of go to, and at that time I was reactive, and that's I'd get a phone call and, hey, I got to go out to this school to respond to this, and then after this I'm going way out to this school to respond to this, and it wasn't really the ideal SRO position. I mean, it was better than nothing. We start that establishment of the position, but it was really hard because I was reactive, and now we're at schools, and so we can be proactive. We can, get a lot of these things before they happen, be that presence, and probably stop a lot of stuff from possibly happening as well. And just being that presence there is more than half the battle.
Sure. When it comes to students who may see other students engaging in risky behavior and things like that, how are they able to talk to you about those types of things? Is it just kind of is there an anonymity to that, or is it just you pull off to the side and say, listen, I think that I saw my fellow student blank blank blank?
On that, I mean, it's a case by case. I mean, if the kid wants to, doesn't want to be forthcoming because of retaliation, that kind of stuff, we can take them back to our office and get information. But more times than not, kids are pretty much straightforward, and they'll come up and say, hey, he's doing this, and with that information, we'll follow up with it.
You mentioned how your role has changed over the last 3 years, and you said that OSPI's got some standard changes for next year. What are those?
So OSPI, which is the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction for Washington State, for the school year 2021 is going to be setting some standards for the SROs. So as of right now, technically, any commissioned law enforcement officer could step into the role of becoming a school resource officer, and that's good, which is fine. But they're finding out that a lot of specialized training, because we have some crisis intervention training that we do through CJTCs as well, and so that's becoming more of a thing that we're becoming more aware of. And so they're also saying, hey, we'll also become more aware of, what about specialized CIT training for the youth? And so a lot of the stuff that there are requirements are going to be the crisis intervention for youth, like suicide awareness. So Deputy Castillo and I have gone to what's NASRO, which is the National Association of School Resource Officers. Mm-hmm. That's a certification that we've went even prior to becoming school resource officers. So we've had a lot of that training already. There may be some additional training when they put all the requirements out. Possibly this summer, it might be doing a couple, maybe some classes or something like that, just to make sure that we're completely have everything under our belt there.
And then outside of the school portion of this, if there is an incident and the sheriff's office is involved and there's a child as part of the call, are you guys called in to be able to talk with that child a little better, maybe because you deal with kids on a daily basis, or does the whole office have that kind of training? You know what I'm saying? Because right. You guys deal with kids all the time, and
right. If we have the rapport, I would say we're a resource, and if needed, we could be called out and definitely talk with the kid and provide what we can for him.
Yeah, got the skills to talk on their level.
Yeah, once in a while, not every case. We do have a good relationship with a lot of our road deputies, and if there's something that comes up, they'll give us a call. Hey, do you know who the student is, or is there anything information you can tell me, or do you know where I can get a hold of them at? And then a lot of times if they have a case that involved something, say traumatic over the weekend, or when we're not on shift, they'll forward us the case report, just a courtesy, just so we're aware, because that also may affect their affect them when they come to school. And so it's just good for us to be aware of those kind of things like that. Sure. So they do that as a courtesy.
The Sheriff Sit-Down every week is presented by, and we'll get you on another time to talk Explorers for sure, but we're just about out of time here. Great conversation with the school resource officers for Mason County, Matt Colbenson and Ruben Castillo. Good job, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jeff.
Nice to talk with you.